time for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, we got some weather. Look what I got, Pilk, the other day. Frost Buddy, Pirates. This is pretty sweet.
That
Tanner
is.
with ECU Sports Properties, the only person that likes to talk more than you, or maybe as much as you, gave me this. So thank you, Tanner. Appreciate it. I had a sody pop in that a little bit ago. All right, got a good show today. Brian Mull coming up. We'll talk some college hoops with him. A little bit of golf as well. Some big announcement there. And also Mike Mullis to finish off the show. We'll be talking some baseball, including the death Tuesday of James Rabbit Fulgham, the legendary Hall of Fame coach for the Green Central Rams, who coached Cliff Godwin and Tommy Eason. In fact, Coach Eason will be on the show with us tomorrow to remember Coach Rabbit. So all of that is coming up. But right now, top 5 at 5.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Number one, Pirates 24-3 victory over William & Mary last night. That was baseball, by the way, not football after the game. Cliff Godwin said it was good to see some of the other guys, younger guys, get in the ballgame.
Yeah, Parker Bird, man, getting a hit. So it was awesome. You know, it's fun to get those guys in because those guys work hard at practice, just like the guys that are out there every day. So so many guys got opportunities and just came off the bench and did what they were supposed to do. And you've done this for a long time, Coach O. Sometimes when you do that, it can get messy, and it never got messy, and I appreciate that.
So it is the fourth win in the last 6 games for the Pirates. And for me, Pilk, I think this is a positive because we've been waiting for the offense to get geared up. The pitching is seemingly the strength of this team, and it is hard to pitch maybe freely as you would like if the offense is not producing. So with the offense putting some runs on the board, a positive for the Pirates. Look, Penn is offensively challenged. They've not hit the ball hardly at all this year. We'll talk to Mike Mullis about that coming up later in the show, but Penn can pitch, so the Pirates are going to have their work cut out for them this weekend. Have a tough time on their hands. But I would say right now the offense humming along might be the way to put it.
Number 2.
Number 2, former Pirate running back Keaton Mitchell signs a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers worth $9.25 million. It can get up over $11 million in incentives. He's got $5 million guaranteed. Another thing, Max Crosby, after this trade fell through, claims that he is a Raider. We'll see what happens when they still deal him next week.
That's the thing. Crosby, I think, still very much they are looking to get rid of him. But the thing is he damaged goods? That's the big question there. I mean, from a physical standpoint, is he going to be healthy enough to be traded? But it's clear the statements that he made over the last few months have done him in Vegas. So he will not be playing for the Raiders one way or the other next year. I don't know how that shakes out, but he will not be. As for Keaton Mitchell, this is the life of an NFL running back. You're going to go bounce around a little bit. You're going to have probably incentive-laden kind of contracts, and you're not going to have anything that is really more than 2, maybe 3 years at the most, or 2 with the third-year option, because that's just where running backs are in the modern-day NFL. Good for Keaton. I didn't think he'd be on the block long, and he should have a chance. I'm not going to pretend I know what's going on with the running back situation in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but I do know this. They made the playoffs this year despite a bunch of injuries, and they've got a quarterback that is considered one of the better ones in the AFC, so giddy up.
We'll see. Omarion Hampton will be the starter. They're letting Najee Harris go, it sounds like, so it's going to be him and Keami Valdell fighting for that second spot behind Omarion Hampton, who is the number 1.
Omarion Hampton was hurt this year.
He was?
So, I mean, you're going to get opportunities if you're as explosive as Keaton Mitchell is. You're going to get opportunities. Why don't you do number 3? I like it when the other people do the numbers.
Number 3. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey has said that they are potentially going to an in-house governance. His exact quote to Paul Feinbaum was, quote, "I don't think anyone on any campus wants the status quo to remain in our league. By unanimous vote, we can't go on as we are," end quote.
Is this his fancy way of telling Feinbohr that he wants the SEC wants to play by their own rules, which they have for years? We haven't seen any of the numbers, at least I have not publicly. Nobody's come out with any of it. I'm sure if we did FOIA requests and did some digging, we could find it. But there's no way. Let me take that back. The only conference that probably, well, no, I don't think even that's the case. There's no way there aren't teams that are not drowning in red ink, legitimate red ink. There's just no way in that conference. You can't tell me that the Mississippi schools, Arkansas, you can't tell me that Missouri, or, these places aren't. I mean, if places like Penn State and Rutgers, which is the State University of New Jersey, one of the more populous states in America, one of the more prosperous states in America, if those institutions are swimming in red ink by the hundreds of millions, there's got to be something with the SEC up here. I've thought about this a lot over the last few weeks. I don't think you're going to take as many to the very tippy top of this breaking off as you think you are.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to be enough to have. I mean, you're going to still need to play other schools. And I think we're going to see schools at certain conferences, look no further than conference tournaments this week, that are going to say, enough is enough. We're going to go play somewhere else where it's economically more feasible to do so.
Yep.
What a get for Feinbohr, the commissioner of the SEC.
4.
All right, number 4, college basketball tournaments on our sister stations tonight. Talk 103.7 will have Duke, as they will be hosting Florida State, and Oldies 94.1 will have the Tar Heels and the Tigers of Clemson. And that will be a 9:30 tip after the Duke and Florida State game wraps up.
I think it'll be interesting to see tonight a couple of things. How Duke will play against a Florida State team that can score points, or at least did last night against Duke or against Cal. To see how Duke will be without Foster at the point. Big Pat, I think they'll be fine getting through this tournament without him. The goal, while it probably is stated to win the conference championship, sort of validate the regular season for them, if you're Duke, you're just looking ahead right now to Greenville, South Carolina. If you're North Carolina, this might help you with your seed line, but it looks like for some reason, according to Lenardi, we'll ask Jerry Palm about this tomorrow, that they're going to send the Tar Heels to Greenville, which I don't understand, because everything I'm seeing, there are 5 at best, 6 seed realistically. They should not be getting any kind of preferential seeding.
No.
And going the same place. I mean, that's what's really weird to me about that. And look, you don't think that the Tar Heel Walmart fans or the Wall Heel fans are not going to go to Greenville, South Carolina and root against Duke, because that's their favorite thing. They hate them because they ain't them.
Yeah, I like it.
So it's going to be interesting tonight to see where all of this plays out. But I mean, when you can hear somebody singing 90s Goo Goo Dolls songs during a game, it's not good. Quickly, number 5.
Number 5, does Miami of Ohio make the tournament? They lost to UMass earlier this afternoon. The Minutemen, who were under 500 in league play, 87-83.
Unfortunately, I don't think they do. They should.
They should.
Rather watch that than the number 10 team from one of these P4s, but we'll see. All right, next, we'll talk more hoops. Brian Mull on the other side, also some golf talk, and then later on, Mike Mullis. All right, the band we're going to play in and out of.
My heart aches all day while I've had you in my hands.
The fabulous Strictly Liquid. They are down in Florida and New Orleans for the next few nights, but are frequent players here in North Carolina. It is sort of their de facto home, in a sense. Brian Mull, heavily involved with the group.
every single day.
He plays tambourine and maracas like Davy Jones sometimes on stage. I believe. I think so. I'm not sure. There's a callback to the old days. All right, Brian Mull with us here. People have been clamoring. Where's Mull? Where's Mull? We need to hear golf talk from Mull. We'll talk some college hoops, but the first thing I want to start with here is indeed golf and some major changes today as we say hello to our great friend, Scribe Brian Mull.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. So great to see you again, and Mr. Pilkington as well. Missed you guys, missed everybody. Been an interesting winter, but we're back. Great time of the year. Great time for golf. The PGA Tour with new commissioner Brian Rolapp coming over from the NFL and trying to make the thing look a little bit better. And it looks like we're looking at a schedule that's going to go from late January to right before football season. We're going to have, 21 to 25 events, all with the top players in the world, so that now when a sponsor puts up money, that's including the majors, that they're going to know that Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler are going to be there, but they may not be there on the weekend because Rolapp hates the no-cut events. He likes the excitement of a cut. And so all events will have a cut of some form or fashion. And what it's going to look like exactly is not we're not 100% sure, but I thought he had a great comment. He said, basically, it's pretty easy to run these sports leagues. You just figure out what the fans want and you do that. And it was kind of a joke yesterday that he had been going around, listening to some of these podcasts, smart podcasts in golf, and just kind of pluck the best ideas of, the things that make the most sense, what the people want. But, the other players will obviously have an opportunity. There's basically two tours now anyway, but now we're just going to we're going to blow up a model that was invented in the early 80s that made sense then, and we're going to create a model that makes sense now in 2026 and going forward.
So what happens in the fall and what used to be the fall swing and maybe that early January swing? Are these events now, will guys go play internationally in those instances? What happens there?
I can't say this with 100% certainty, but by everything I understand, those an opportunity for the guys in that next tier guys to move up, kind of like it has been for the last couple of years, where those guys can improve their standing. And the goal will always be to get in these events, but there'll be other events as well. And I don't know what happens with the Korn Ferry Tour, if that blends into. There's certainly enough players to supply all of these tours, but the process and the format for getting there, they're gonna have to work that out. But I think they've got the right idea.
The great Brian Mull joining us here at BG Mull on X, formerly known as Twitter, as we like to say, us olds like to say. Brian. TPC Sawgrass underway as we speak right now. Much bandied about. It's the fifth major. How do you see the field, and how do you see things playing out this week in Actionville, Florida?
First of all, let's Akshay Bhatia. What a great story!
So good last week. What
a great story that has been, and up to second on the FedEx Cup, and what a great back nine to just basically steal that tournament, earn it. Absolutely great playoff. And here's a guy, 24 years old. It feels like he's been around forever, but that's what happens when you turn pro, at the age of 17. And, I've already third win now. There's a lot of guys that'll play a full career and not win 3 times. So we're looking at a rising star here, and he'll be one of my short list favorites for the Masters. I don't know if he's quite ready, but he sure looked ready the other day. And, TPC Sawgrass is always, the Players is always a great event. I don't know if it's a major, but if you look at it, certainly has a major caliber winners with Scheffler back-to-back, and then Rory in the playoff last year, beating a guy that not many people had heard of at that time, but would have certainly know more about later, J.J. Spawn. And I expect you'll see certain type of, similar type of leaderboard Sunday. Justin Thomas, after a disastrous return to professional golf last week, Off to a hot start. Got off to a hot start this morning. Looked pretty good. Looked more of his own self. Daniel Berger's another guy who has played well in Florida throughout his career, and obviously had a great week last week. Just came up a bit short at the end. Sawgrass is a great course. It's Pete Dye's finest work. He tortures the golfer mentally. He points the tee box one direction when he really wants you to hit it the other direction. He puts master of deception, master of the penal form of golf, where
Sure.
a yard or two is the difference between a birdie and a double bogey. And generally, I feel like this event is a good to kind of give you an idea of who you should be looking at Augusta as well.
Yeah, we got another Florida swing and then some Texas dates dotting the field. But we're going to try to get you on as frequently as possible for the Masters. I know you're a busy man. You're a busy boy, but we do want to get you on. All right, let's talk a little bit, Brian, about some college basketball. I want to start with we always like to do this, so we'll do this at the beginning here. How many teams legitimately have a chance to win the national championship right now? Who's legit, as we are sitting here right now before the heart of some of these conference tournaments, before Selection Sunday, before we have Jerry Palm on the show tomorrow to give us a little bracketology, who do you think are the legitimate national championship contenders? How many you think?
I have 5 that I've pretty much locked in on the last month, and then two that would not surprise me. Okay, after that, so the 5 solid candidates are pretty obvious: Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Florida, UConn. All those teams can win the national championship.
Okay.
And then these 2 teams can make the Final Four. I don't know if they can cut down the nets, but it would not surprise me to see either Arkansas or Alabama in the Final Four.
Okay. You've been bullish on Alabama all year in our texts back and forth, by the way. So.
I have, and they're a team that they're 3rd in offense, 68th in defense. So maybe they bump their defense up a little bit in the tournament, and that should be good enough with a number 3 offense. But if they don't, they won't. They'll get booted out, like they did last year, Elite 8 or Sweet 16. But I think you look at those 4 at the top: Duke, Michigan, Arizona, and Florida. I mean, they're all 4 top 8 in offense and defense, efficiency.
But it's okay. I would argue, though, the Duke thing comes without the injuries. Those numbers come without the injuries.
I think Bonga's going to be fine. Bonga's fine. This is all precautionary with him. They don't need, but they've got to get Foster back at some point to win it all. I think they could probably make the Final Four without him.
Yeah.
But to win those 2 games, the caliber team you're going to have to beat there, which is going to be similar to last year. Very difficult. Opportunity for Caden Boozer to shine. Though it wouldn't surprise me if he takes his game to another level in this opportunity.
I hope he does, because I think he's obviously his brother's sensational, but I think he's a really good player too. The great Brian Mull with us here. So UNC Wilmington, who twice had to rally in the regular season to beat Campbell, gets knocked off in their first game in the CAA tournament in Washington, D.C. And it was just announced yesterday that Siddle, I guess, got a 5-year, I don't know if it's an extension or just they've redone his contract and it's a 5-year term. Point is, it doesn't seem like Takeo Siddle's going anywhere anytime soon. With that said, do you see a push in the CAA to do what the American and a lot of these other conferences have done, where you get a bye if you finish in certain spots and maybe even a double bye to the semis or whatever? Do you see the CAA going in that direction?
I'm sure it will be discussed because it's been the hot topic all around everything I've looked at, and it's something I've been in favor of for a long time. But honestly, now in this era of parity and talent dispersion, I'm kind of okay with the tournament being giving all these teams an opportunity, because it takes some of these teams and coaches a while to figure out exactly what they have. Shoot, we had Monmouth get a guy eligible. He was in Jackson State. He wasn't being investigated for the point shaving, but they didn't want to put him out there if there was a problem. Anyway, they put him on the court, and they became a whole different team in January. And if you watch the CAA, we had season tickets this year that my girls love to go, and I went to all the conference home games and several. There just wasn't much difference. Even Wilmington was winning games.
Gotcha.
It was like there wasn't. They weren't some dominant team, and they were never full strength. And that was unfortunate. They never had the roster they thought they were going to have. But there's just not as much of a gap between the top and the bottom, and the middle and the bottom, and the middle and the top as there used to be. So I'm fine with it. I mean, Hofstra's going to be a 12, 13 seed, and they're a team that's got a couple of they beat Pittsburgh, they beat Syracuse. They've always kind of acquitted themselves well. They've got the kids from up around the New York City. They're not scared of anybody, so they'll be a good representative, as good as any from that league. So it worked out.
And in a tournament where a lot of ex guards who were great in college are getting their teams now to the tournament, because that's what's happening. Nolan Smith and Tennessee Tech, or is it Tennessee State? But Nolan Smith and then Jerry McNamara. Don't overlook Speedy Claxton, boys and girls. Speedy Claxton could go back in the day, and probably if you challenged him to a game of horse, you would lose. All right, let me ask you. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick Speedy story. I talked to him early, and he had just lost it. Who he thought was going to be his second best player to a season-ending injury. He had not signed the kid that was the MVP of the tournament, the little freshman guard yet. He had not signed the international big guy. They looked terrible on paper, and he sounded awful. And I picked him at the bottom, and obviously they had a different looking team and they won. So it just goes to show, like, who knows, right?
So Hofstra, I guess you're a little bullish on them. What other mid-major or two might we want to look out for next week in the tournament?
Well, I think we can stay right here in the state of North Carolina with High Point. Saw them in person. They played like one of those public scrimmages up here against Wilmington early in the year, and they looked like a team that could, compete with most anybody. Athleticism, veterans, size, excellent guards. I mean, you're talking about a team that won 30 games, and there's some value in that. Just winning basketball games. And it's tight late, they're going to feel pretty good about things. So they would certainly be, on the top of my list. Be interesting to see probably a 13 seed there as well. So those games are games we've seen in the past. And then, even in the Sun Belt here, Troy's a squad. Yeah. I don't know if they have quite enough offense. You do generally want a team that can shoot the three a little bit better than that to spring an upset. But they've they're a three-time champion, back-to-back champion now of the Sun Belt, and pretty tough squad. Scott Cross has always been one of my favorite coaches.
We've got Brian Mull with us here. Couple quick things here. One, Syracuse and Georgia Tech are now open in the ACC. There are other openings as well, but I mentioned those two because there is pedigree there. There's history there. Which job is better right now? Which job is better in the ACC?
Cool. Whichever one finds a donor or six that have big pockets and are tired of losing. I mean, this is the bottom line. Boeheim said it yesterday on halftime, and underfunded, and Georgia Tech's been, athletics have almost been an afterthought there for forever. What Bobby Crimmins did there have never been fully appreciated. I feel I would want to say Georgia Tech because it's in Atlanta, and they're great, recruiting base, and et cetera. But you got to get the right. You got to get some life in that program. You watch the games there, and it's like everybody's taking a nap. And it's a pro town. I get it, but yeah, I don't know. I would have to think Georgia Tech, but they're both in bad shape. Boston College. I mean, these places, even Wake Forest. I mean, it's just an uphill battle. Battle. Steve Forbes can't win at Wake Forest. I'm not sure who can.
We're going to cut you loose, but I want to get just a quick, maybe 60 seconds here. Mike Schwartz is retained at East Carolina. That announcement was made before the Memphis game. What is the charge now if you're Mike Schwartz? If you were advising him, what is his charge from your perspective?
He's got to shake up his staff. He's got to load up on people that can shoot a basketball. This is the era of scoring. NC State and Pitt scored 103 points in the first half of the game yesterday. The tournament, I mean, it used to be everybody held the ball in the tournament and grinded it out. I mean, you've got to have people who can put the ball into the basket. And defense is, great. Score some points, Mike Schwartz. Go get some bucket makers.
What are you doing Tuesday, Mull? We get you back on Tuesday?
Sure.
All right, I'm writing it in. I'm writing it on the sheet. Okay. Brian Mull back Tuesday, talking the tournament. It's in ink.
Great weekend.
All right. See you, buddy. The great Brian Mull. More of the Patrick Johnson Show straight ahead.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
Well, it wouldn't be a show this week in the Patrick Johnson Show universe without a visit from Mike Mullis this time of year, and he joins us here. Mully and I will be on the call for all three games this weekend as ECU takes on Penn from the confines of Clark LeClaire Stadium as we're getting ready for that showdown against an Ivy League team. ESPN Plus, the destination. Of course, you can listen to the games here on 94.3 The Game. Let me see here. Let me get this straight. There we go. Doesn't that look right now? Mike Mullis, let's join me in wishing happy birthday to the following. Skip Holtz, former Pirate coach, 62 years young today. Skip Holtz. Been a tough time in the Holtz household here lately. Our one-time colleague and our great friend Terrence Copper, T-Cop, 44 today. How about that, Mully? And then our very own John Cannon.
Happy birthday to both of those.
Yeah, John Cannon Pilk.
Off.
No, you did. That's all right. John Cannon Pilk celebrating a birthday today. He'll celebrate today. I didn't mean to play that for John. Did you know that, Pilk, that it was John Cannon's birthday?
I did.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Got to keep you honest and straight here.
You do.
Mike Mullis, these folks we just named are celebrating another year, and that's always a great thing. Can't help but want to talk about Rabbit Fulgham with you here for a little bit to start this thing. Obviously, his passing this week. And when you talk about baseball in eastern North Carolina, and really in the state of North Carolina, Rabbit Fulgham's name has got to be in that conversation. When you talk about that sport all time, especially at the high school and Legion level in this state.
Yeah, and obviously your mind goes straight to baseball with Coach Fulgham, but started his career as a basketball coach, and he coached softball. I mean, he's just a coach, and to me, PJ, the term coach is a term of endearment as well as a title, and Coach Fulgham certainly embodied that term of endearment. It's maybe 1 degree separation from in my opinion, from mom or dad or, a brother or family member, the true coach that coaches the person and the game. And that's what Rabbit Fulgham did. And it was a real honor to ever get to be around, Coach, but it was an honor to oppose him in the other dugout when, during American Legion Baseball, and tons of stories there that maybe we'll get a chance to share over the broadcast this weekend, experiences with Coach Fulgham. And, everybody, he was known for his kind of like Matt Maloney with the big guy moniker. Coach Fulgham was Shine. Everybody was Shine to him. And, it kind of made you feel special when he gave you the opportunity to be called Shine by him. So, yeah, a guy that just impacted so many. And, man, there are some folks that, grew up under the Rabbit Fulgham philosophies and way of thinking. And we look at, if you just bring it over to East Carolina, obviously Cliff Godwin, but when you look at Braden Burris and, his dad and uncle played for Coach Fulgham, and I think a lot of what Braden Burris is a testimony to that philosophy, to that school of hard work and blue collar mentality that Coach Fulgham embodied and helped to protect over in Greene County. And, we think about so much athletically with Coach Fulgham, but we also leave a lot on the table for just the impact, the economic, the educational impact that his voice brought to Greene County. So, it's the end of an era, and it's one of those titans of life that you never think will not be here. And in thinking about it in retrospect, man, you know what it does, PJ? It should challenge all of us to leave a legacy that's even a crumb of what he left, and try to be as impactful as he was day in, day out on people, and celebrate the impact again that he had on all of our lives. And he will obviously be missed. His family prayers and condolences go out to them. But Coach was in declining health, and he's in heaven now, and talking ball, and probably hanging out with Tony Guzzo and so many of the other great ones that have impacted East North Carolina. So he will certainly be missed, but never forgotten.
Think about just the baseball universe surrounding this area. And I say this area, I mean the eastern part of the state. I mean, man, it's wild, Mully. It's really something if you think about it. I mean, just, the RVs of the world, the George Whitfields of the world, the Guzzos, as you mentioned. You got Tommy Eason. Tommy's we're going to talk to Tommy tomorrow about Coach Fulgham. And, look what he's done. And then yourself, I mean, it's really quite a story. I know I'm leaving people out. I'm sure I am. But, I mean, it's just Coach O. I mean, there's just it is the baseball universe around these parts is really, really unique, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? It's tough, man. Like on the call of the LeClaire Classic, we wanted to bring up all the players and coaches that were produced, from the LeClaire tree, and it's nearly impossible. And you could think of all the people that you could possibly think of, and you're still probably missing 20% because it's just such a big number. And yeah, you're right, PJ. And again, man, I mean, we this area loves baseball, and we get wrapped up in baseball, but it's the life impact, it's the other things that all those people you just mentioned have brought to Eastern North Carolina to make it, the place that it is. And it's crazy when you go outside of the East and haven't had the opportunity to be on the road and coach different places and work camps in different places. Those names always come up. Like, I mean, you mentioned George Whitfield. I know we started talking about Coach Fulgham, but it almost feels like you can't talk about one without the other. And Coach Whitfield, I mean, he's had a clinic that has been going for, I believe, 50 plus years. I can tell you this, growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina at West Charlotte High School, we loaded up the activity bus on a Saturday morning about 5 o'clock to come to the George Whitfield camp when I was a sophomore in high school. So it's been a lasting impression, a lasting influence that this area has had, going back through the Narins, going back through just the baseball royalty, Clyde King. I mean, it just goes on and on. The guys, the folks that have impacted baseball at all levels that called Eastern North Carolina home.
Mike Mullis will be on the call 3 games this weekend with myself for ECU and Penn. Boy, how about the Pirates yesterday? 24 runs, most they've scored in 15 years. And right now it seems like the last 3 games, the offense has started to get clicking.
Yeah, you know what? As a coach, or if you're in that dugout, you're going, okay, boys, let's save a few. I'm glad they don't play today. It always seems to work out. You score a bushel barrel full of runs, and the next day you're just trying to squeeze a lemon to get a little juice. So, and they're going into a weekend facing a UPenn staff that has been fairly stingy. So it'll be an interesting matchup. UPenn is again been very, very effective on the mound, and has not allowed a ton of runs. Matter of fact, only like 50 through the entirety of the season, and one of those was a double-digit kind of anomaly, but also a team that hasn't scored a bunch. I mean, they're hitting around 200 as a club. So I think we'll see a different style of play with this Penn club, PJ, and even watching them, they'll run some different bunt defenses, or at least they did last weekend. It's just an interesting look. But Pirates coming off of another convincing and a really solid 2 game midweek stint that they did what they needed to do, taking care of business, and two very, very convincing wins.
Let's talk about the pitching matchup tomorrow night. Jake Moss for Penn, veteran guy going to the hill. He's been microscopic with the ERA, real strike thrower. And then you've got Ethan Norby, who has certainly struggled out of the gate. Last two starts, a little better than the first couple. And not that he's been awful, but I just don't know if he's been as pinpoint as we thought he would be. So, Mike, when you look at that whole thing from the A to the Z, how do you see that pitching matchup tomorrow to lead things off in the game at 6?
Yeah, you make a good point there with Norby. And the problem is, PJ, comparison is the thief of all joy. So when we're looking at Norby, we're comparing him to Norby from last year, who was one of the best arms in the country. And this year it has not been quite as clean, but in that outing against Coastal, a little tough luck early, but we saw him settle in, and there were certainly extended looks at what looked like the old Norb. So, their pitching staff, as they're being UPenn, their staff is older. They're going to compete. It's not electric stuff. It's pitchability. It's obviously they're intelligent, both on the mound and obviously in the classroom. But they're going to work their way through hitters, and they're just going to again expect to see a breaking ball when you would typically think it's going to be a fastball, a little backwards look. Although there's some velocity there, they can go 92, they can go 93, but it's the pitchability stuff that'll be the difference for Penn. So I think the East Carolina hitters will have to show some patience. And conversely, I think Norby will be in a position to really be on the attack, facing again this team in Penn that has been a little light at the plate.
Yeah, have not hit the ball well. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of Pirate hitters that have started to come around. Both guys have certainly been contributors at their respective positions, fielding-wise. But how about the fact that we're starting to see Colby Wallace swing a consistent bat, and Walker Barron's also been pretty hot for East Carolina?
Yeah, Colby going into last night was batting .500 over his last 20 or so at bats, and Walker Barron just kind of quietly done it all year, P. Sometimes it's not poetic, but it works. And so both those guys, those are obviously shots in the arm. I think, we've seen a little signs of life from Carlos Jacome, a guy that was brought in here to kind of be that offensive middle infielder. So, definitely some good things heading in the right direction. Alex Boucher, healthy enough to be in the lineup now, and has had some success in production. So, yeah, I think it's happening at the right time, and this is a stretch in the season where the Pirates can reel off some wins and really kind of flip the win-loss column and have a little head of steam, as they head into UAB.
You look at this final non-conference series of the campaign before conference play begins next week, and we'll be on those games also, which will be a real privilege, as it always is. So look at this team, and let's talk a little bit about the American. The one thing about this, we know there's some talent on this Pirate roster, but if you look at the RPI in that ranking, there were a lot of teams that were up near the top. UTSA, UAB, beginning of the week. I think Charlotte had a pretty top 20 level RPI. So it's kind of interesting. I think UAB's probably been the surprise of this whole thing so far.
Yeah, I think when we talk about RPI this time of the year, obviously that will change a lot as this thing continues to wear on. Those numbers will, go up and down. But what I think it gives you is an indicator of the quality of teams that these other conference opponents have played, and it hasn't been a cakewalk like some schedules in the past have been. But yeah, UAB, I guess they're the surprise right now. They're already sitting at 10, 11 wins. UTSA has just kind of run through their early schedule. Charlotte's had its ups and downs, but largely has had success. So again, it's an interesting time. You go back to last weekend, and there were a lot of pretty interesting matchups all over the country. And then the midweek was extremely interesting, but you're starting to see conference play kick off. You're starting to see, with the ACC last week and then the SEC this week. And So you'll start to see things kind of regulated. We'll start to get a better picture of what college baseball at large is going to look like. But yeah, I mean, I think again, we talk about it quite regularly that the AAC has a strong desire to be a multi-bid league, and the only way you do that is to make yourself look good on paper, not only wins and losses, but strength of schedule. So I think the AAC is making strides in that category. And you got to remember too, it's a different league than it's ever been, with half the league being made up of transfers or newcomers. So from a roster makeup standpoint, so it's a different. I think the AAC has probably been more impacted by the portal than nearly any other conference. Maybe save the Sun Belt, but it's a different place than it has been in the past, and the conference slate should be pretty competitive top to bottom.
It was a 12-1 start for NC State. They're 2-2 in their last 4 games. Still only 14-3 overall. I mean, any cause for concern in West Raleigh? I mean, I guess just anytime when you've started off that hot, anytime you lose this early, especially, it kind of sticks out. But 2-0 to Elon, who the Pirates face next in the final non-conference tune-up that they'll get before conference weekend start. That kind of caught my attention the other night, and we know one thing about the Wolfpack: they're going to swing away.
Yeah, look, and they can't. Friday they had a loss to Lafayette, which was Lafayette's first win of the season, and they dropped that one to Elon. But baseball, PJ, nobody's going to go 56-0, and I mean, go back and look at the week LSU had last week, losing 4 games, maybe even 5. I know they lost the series to Sacramento State, and we talked about High Point going into Florida and they're nearly having a chance to sweep the Gators, which a lot of people have picked as their ultimately their national champion with the schedule. I'm sorry, with the roster that the Gators have. So, I think State will be just fine. I think they'll continue to do what they do. And this, the whole thing is peaks and valleys. And that's the old adage, you just want to be hot at the right time. But it's, you like to find that consistency and then maybe a little bit of a climb towards the end of the season when the weather sustains and everybody's kind of settled into their roles. But yeah, I don't think the Wolfpack needs to I don't think that crowd needs to have any real fear. And listen, the ACC, the SEC, those conferences are going to get a bunch of guys or a bunch of teams into the postseason either way, just because of the quality of the conferences. So, just for all those teams, just go represent yourselves well in the conference, play well, and everything will kind of take care of itself.
Let's stay in the state. North Carolina not staying in the state. They're heading out west. They'll take on Cal Berkeley. The Golden Bears are 13-4, and of course we know what Carolina has done so far with their start to the year. 14 wins, 3 losses, and the tie to ECU. Heading out west, it's maybe not so much heading out west is the issue. It's always coming back. That's at least when I talk to these coaches in the Big Ten and the different sports and even now in the ACC. They say, hey, going out west is not the issue. It's coming back. That's where it becomes a little bit of an issue. But that's kind of an intriguing early season matchup in the ACC. And I mean, look, anytime you do go out west, I mean, it's going to be a little different feel to the weather out there this time of year. So that just kind of pops out to me right there. And I think an interesting challenge for both teams as they enter the weekend series.
Yeah, Carolina coming off a run rule loss to Virginia last Friday night. Yeah. And I think Virginia in the ACC is going to be certainly a team to watch taking that series at Boschmer. But, I think the interesting thing about Carolina going to Cal is that it's an ACC matchup. That's still just so hard to get your head around. So,
wild.
The ACC is going to be good top to bottom. Carolina's loaded with pitching. Obviously, we've seen them for 3 games. Their pitching has been a little up and down, a little less, maybe a little less perfect than they had dreamed it would be. But the offense at Carolina, again, up and down. So, you say all that. They all obviously have a great record. They're getting ready to get into the meat of it. And, we'll learn more about everybody, but we'll certainly learn more about the Tar Heels. I do think 2 very interesting teams in the ACC will be Duke and UVA. And both teams have managed to really bang on people, put up a bunch of runs, and have had some success. So, look, man, it's always fun watching this North Carolina college baseball scene, and as the broadcasts wear on, the season wears on, and I say North Carolina, South Carolina, kind of our little corner of the world. As we get deeper into it, we always find ways that Kyle and the production crew to create graphics and just illustrate exactly how good college baseball is, in this 2-state and even 3-state if you roll Virginia into an area.
Yeah, Duke lost one of their big bats here recently too, but still are kind of finding a way. All right, Mully, as we look to the weekend, intriguing series from a lot of perspectives. As good as ECU is hitting the ball right now, I do think they're going to have to pitch it, because there's one thing I feel like the Quakers will do with the older guys that they're going to start heading into the weekend on the mound. I think they're going to pitch it okay. I mean, they're going to be effective, or at least have proven to be effective. I mean, that's a steady area for them right now because of some of the injuries and just the offense scuffling. So, to me, Molly, Pirates have to kind of match that and pitch well this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and that's illustrated by the fact that the Quakers went into Texas A&M, lost 1-0, 2-1, and then 7-1. So really competitive playing the Aggies and talking with their staff. I mean, the word competitive gets thrown around a lot as he's describing his players, and that's what you kind of expect out of that Northeast corridor of student athletes. And so yeah, I think their front end arms are going to do just that. I think it's going to be patience at the plate for the Pirates. I think they're going to have to work their way through at bats at least until they can break these U-pin arms. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. You even talking to their coaches, and they're like, hey, we hadn't even hardly been on the field other than the games we played just because of weather. So, and I keep using the term finding themselves, but I think, that's more a case of the way it is in college baseball now than ever before. And that's the matchup, PJ. Their pitching versus our hitting is what the deal is. And again, Penn had a little bit banged up, shortstop's out. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of defense they can play, take care of the baseball. So it should be a fun weekend either way. I'm looking forward to being up there and hopefully seeing the Pirates continue to grow into who they ultimately will become.
Mully, you're the best. Appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, buddy. I will see you very soon.
The great Mike Mullis with us here. Thanks to him. Thanks to our buddy Brian Mull. Great stuff to have them on. Thanks to Philip the Rep Pilkington. Tomorrow, 45-minute edition of the show at 5 o'clock. We'll have bracketologist Jerry Palm on the program. Plus, we'll hear from Pitt coach Tommy Eason on the life of James Rabbit Fulgham. That's tomorrow. Patrick Johnson Show for now. Stay safe out there. Have a great evening, everybody.